Hello and welcome everybody to another attributed session brought to you by Dreamdata. Today we're going to talk about something that our guest maybe not always get to talk about because he's the founder of a very big app, but he's actually also the founder of a YouTube channel that has gone from 0 to 100,000 subscribers in quite a short time. And before we kicked off, I was just bragging about how badly we at Dreamdata has performed on YouTube. We're now at 544 subscribers, split amongst 738 videos. So we can definitely testify that actually building a channel on YouTube is not as easy as you would think. We think that we've been producing pretty nice quality content on video for a long time, but nobody's subscribing. And that's why, Heini, when I saw you...
That's why I got invited to help you with that. Is that the deal there?
I need to fix my failures here. But I saw you unwrapping a gift from YouTube themselves one day saying that now we have more than 100,000 subscribers. And I was like, what the fuck, Heini? You're the founder of a very busy, very popular wine app, and now you have a YouTube channel. So, Heini, that's what we're talking about today, how to fix your YouTube channel. But for people who haven't followed along your journey as long as I have, maybe you can do the quick fly-in to your background.
Love to. Yeah, look, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a founder. Always wanted to build company. I love building stuff. Before Vivino, I was involved building a security company called Bullguard. And then I started Vivino in 2010 and has become incredibly popular. We have over 70 million users all over the world, and obviously by far the biggest wine app in the world. And every day, still to this day, 10,000-15,000 people install the app every single day. So crazy journey to be able to do that.
Yeah, those numbers are pretty crazy. I don't know if you remember, Heini, but I was actually working at Elands back in 2012, yeah. And you were actually one of the biggest customers in Denmark back then. And I was quite amazed to see kind of how you also were able to utilize this global network of talent in a way where you could actually quickly produce apps that were able to communicate the value without kind of probably the fundamentals being super strong.
Yeah, I think that was always a core thing, and I think it's really good advice for any early stage. It's like, don't spend too much money in the early stage. You can only sell your equity once, and be incredibly careful with how much money you spend. And that's why we were like, taking care of our money in the early days and use a lot of these outsourcing platforms. I've never regretted that. I still do it once in a while, so they can be very useful.
I guess like you'd even call that probably a minimum viable product that is the first things you start shipping.
Get the ball rolling, huh?
Yeah, and then you're not actually in your normal office today. I don't know. No. Do you want to do a quick shout out to what are you doing today?
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually in Kyiv in Ukraine today. I've been involved in a charity that supports the effort here in Ukraine, supporting them in their struggle. So I've been raising money to get cars for the armed forces here, and we have. I did like a campaign for the Faroe Islands where I'm from, and we raised money for 2 cars, and it's pretty deep involvement because we also drive the cars. So we go from Tallinn in Estonia and drive the cars all the way into Kyiv. A 30-hour drive, quite a long drive, and then I stay here for a few days doing other stuff too. And just one more shout out is that I'm actually at Lift 99, which is a co-working space. Obviously do a lot of startup stuff when I'm here too. So Lift 99 is actually the software you're using right now. Their logo, Raystream, is on the wall because they started out in this particular office here.
Super cool. So insane with the amount of downloads of Vivino today, but that's not what we're going to talk about, Heini. You're going to teach me how to actually run a successful
this is like a consulting session that I'm not getting paid for. I should send you an invite after, I think.
We call them a podcast nowadays.
Yeah.
But what got you into YouTube, Heini? I'm sure you're busy enough outside of Vivino, but like why start a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I had a lot of sort of thoughts about that, but I had a couple of experiences on YouTube where I saw, and this was Vivino related, where I saw, like we did PR and so on. You get into a printed newspaper in France that gives you maybe some bump, and then suddenly I noticed a couple of times when we're on a big YouTube channel, it was incredible the amount of downloads we got from those things. So I just noticed that, okay, if you want to sort of give back to the community, educate people, you can write a book, you can do blogs and stuff. But I just saw that this medium, YouTube, is incredibly strong, and I think it's pretty obvious today. I'm not sure it was as obvious back then, but you want to talk to people where they are, and video is insanely difficult to do. But if you do it well, the reach is unlimited.
And when did you actually start the channel?
Yeah, I started actually in 2018, so it is a few years ago. But as ever with these things, they start slow and then they sort of pick up, right? So it's been quite a few years by now.
Cool. And how did you then? How do you settle on kind of what you wanted to run this? What would be the focus of the YouTube channel?
Yeah, it was definitely the other way around. There was no doubt about what the focus was. The focus was I was going to talk about startups, about building companies, and so on. It was a matter of doing the other way around. Where was I going to communicate that? And I picked YouTube because it is a channel where you can really reach a lot of people if you do well. I think I probably didn't realize how difficult it was, how incredibly hard it is, and sort of how much grind you have to do to get there. When you have something that works really well, it's never easy. It is just never easy. You have to do it right, and then you have to keep going.
Yeah, and maybe just before we head on, I wanted to just briefly jump back to what you said before about getting into a big French newspaper and the effect of that as opposed to being featured on a YouTube channel. Why do you think that YouTube has a more significant, like, direct impact on business as opposed to getting in one of these esteemed newspapers?
I mean, it's really not that complicated. It's just bigger. I mean, it's just the audience is so much bigger. YouTube is such an incredible tool on every single vertical, right? Whatever you want to learn about, I mean, there's almost nothing like it. So I think it's just size. And when you have something that have that kind of impact, a lot of people are going to go, and then it just gets stronger and stronger, right? So sorry, French newspaper, nobody's reading it anymore.
I guess there's also some kind of maybe a little bit less friction, as well as, like, if you sit with a newspaper and go, hey, this is an interesting app, let me open my iTunes store and download something, as opposed to just clicking a button and then switching over.
It's incredibly consumable, right? So it's so easy to do, and the strength of the video medium. Look, we're not going to talk politics here, but why do you think Trump is president, right?
Yeah,
he did television for 10 years. So video television is so strong. You almost get into the living room there. So there's no doubt about the strength, reach, and strength of it once you're there.
Yeah. So back in the early days when you started out, how often did you publish? What did you publish? and kind of where did you find the motivation to these, like, 50 views or 20 views or whatever it is of the beginner content?
Yeah, I mean that was tough, to be honest. First of all, I mean a couple of things. The videos weren't very good, right? That's like a core problem when you start out. The videos just not very good, and I think also something I want to talk about when you start out. If you're not comfortable with being a tiny bit embarrassed what you build, and this is similar to like the Reid Hoffman. If you're not embarrassed by the thing you release, you're releasing too late. And with YouTube, that's incredibly true, because the best way to learn how to YouTube is to do it. And then if you try to turn all the dials and have this perfect thing, you're learning the wrong things. You're not understanding YouTube yet. You're just trying to buy equipment to figure out so it looks a little bit better. The way to learn YouTube is to do it. Literally do it. No fucking around. And that's incredibly uncomfortable, because it's just like, it's a lot. Like, the camera is in your face, and you're never really happy with that. But it's tricky.
Can you succeed with YouTube where it's kind of a byproduct of what you do, or does it have to be YouTube first and then you can think about using that content other places afterwards? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because I
100%.
think why we fail is that we produce it for other things and then it ends up on the YouTube graveyard afterwards.
Yeah, there's no go. That's a 100% no go. If you want to win on YouTube, you are building for YouTube, but the upside of that is that it's also worth it, right? And a lot of people do that. They put it on TikTok and other places. It's fine, and TikTok has the same thing. You want to win on TikTok, you build for TikTok. And with YouTube, it's more than true, because there's going to be another person right next to you, and she's only building for YouTube, and the algorithm can see that, and then you're out already. So no, it's built for YouTube. Otherwise, you're not going to make it.
Yeah. Okay. And what does building for YouTube then look like, Heini? I guess is the next obvious question. How do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so. So I think YouTube has changed quite a bit too. So there is a lot of room now. There's more room for longer conversations and so on. But what I've done more successfully is what we still call long form, but it's not as long as podcasts and so on. So I would say like 7 to 15-minute videos that are incredibly sort of condensed of content, like full on, full speed, has been what works best for me. And basically, my philosophy has always been like find an audience and be incredibly loyal to that audience, meaning you're only going to do things that this audience likes, nothing else. Don't try, we can put this here too. Yeah, you can do that, but you're actually, hurting your channel if you do that. So find the audience and do that. And then what I also learned pretty quickly is whatever you do, you should actually be the best at it. So if you want to compete if you want to do like a dog YouTube channel, you're going to get beaten. There's I guess 5,000 different ones, and they're really good. So you have to niche your way deeply down until you hit something. Okay, I'm now going to make a YouTube channel only about gray chihuahuas, nothing else. Then I'm going to make the best video about gray chihuahuas. That's the only thing, and that you can win. So you have to niche your way down until you have the best video about that subject. That's a really good philosophy, and then you can expand it later. But that's the way to win. You have to carve out some small space and win it.
That's really interesting, because I think our content is definitely all over the place. So I guess what I'm trying to think about is also kind of how do you make sure that the distribution works for your videos? Distribution by you actually getting viewers. Is that the grind of building a subscriber base, or is it more optimizing for SEO on YouTube?
Yeah, no, it is. It's a little bit of both. So a couple of things to understand. If you look at the big traffic buckets on YouTube, there is search traffic, like literal text search, and then there is recommended traffic. And someone like me who has a lot of experience in SEO, because Vivino has been incredibly successful in that, we think we should optimize for search, and you can, but the volume of the traffic on YouTube is in recommended. So just understand that's real driver. I've actually optimized for search too in certain things. So if you look for how to make an app and so on, I've been very successful there because I have some experience. But if you want to hit the volume, it's the other bucket, and that bucket is really, really hard to do. But the way to do that is to make the best possible video in a small niche, and then sort of expand and say, okay, everyone who has a great Chihuahua, they're gonna watch the videos, and then you expand it slowly, like that. Subscriber base matters, but it's that's obviously an ego thing too. It's kind of cool to have that, but it's all about keep making videos consistently inside the same subject, and then expand a little bit and just get better and better.
Really cool. Maybe the first question, I haven't researched this myself, but is there a recipe for the recommended section as well? Like there's kind of do X, Y, Z, and then you show up in the recommended?
Not a clear thing. There's a lot of advice on it, but I mean, for me, it's really quite simple. I mean, not easy, but give people value. Whatever that is, just give them value. And then so people say, like, how long should a video be? Well, I have certain, I usually say between 7 and 17 minutes or something like that. But really, it should be as long as it needs to be, meaning that you should never put anything in there that shouldn't be there. And that's okay. I'm having some issues with it looks like my laptop's not charging here. I should be okay. I have 20%. I'll be fine. It should be as long as it should be, meaning, okay, if you have content for 6 minutes, then that's it. Then it's 6 minutes, nothing more, nothing less. If it's if you have content for 8 minutes, that's what it is. So it's really, really important.
And Okay, and then I guess I think when you then go take a look at your channel, you'll quickly see these very. It seems like you found a style now for the kind of
Yeah.
thumbnails, how they look like. How big a role does the thumbnail play? Do you think for you?
It's quite a lot. I mean, it doesn't mean, again, don't try and optimize those things when you're small. It can wait.
Mm.
So don't even go there. At the same time, I'm going to say it is very, very important, but it's not as important as YouTubing. So it's about getting out there, trying your best. Then these things are optimizations. But yes, it is very, very important. It really is.
And now you say YouTubing. What is that, Heini?
I don't know what that is, but I'm not sure that's a word either. But it is about building something for YouTube specifically, right?
Yeah.
And this is obviously the number one mistake is that, and you said it pretty well. It's like a garbage ground for all the videos. Oh yeah, let's make sure you put on YouTube. Yeah, that's fine. It's there for the record. You can link to it and so on. But that's not going to give you any YouTube growth.
And okay, if we then take a step back and reflect back a little bit about the beginning of the journey, when was the first kind of turning point or kind of inflection point for you seeing, whoa, okay, there was something that worked here, and what was that?
I think one thing that took a while for me to do was that I sort of got my first hit. So there are sometimes they come slowly, but as you build an audience, actually what happened to me was that my first video I made was about building an app, how to make an app. It's still out there. I recommend you to not watch it, but I want it out there just for the record. It's really quite horrible. But slowly I had built an audience around that subject. And then a few years later, I made a new version of that video. And that video started to really take off. It has been really, really important for me. It has like 1.5 million views or something like that. So yeah, it's been a grind. It's been a grind, that's for sure.
And why do you think that video is so good for YouTube?
I think it's a couple of things, right? I have credibility. I have a lot of credibility, and YouTube. And when we talk YouTube algorithm, I think Mr. Beast says it really well. There's no thing as you shouldn't talk about as an algorithm. You should talk about it as an audience. So YouTube algorithm is just a representation of the audience. So the audience liked that video because I had credibility in that space, and then on top of that, just the content is better because of that. And also, it was like a second version of the video that also helped. And now suddenly, I think it is the best video. I need to update it again now soon. But it is the best video on that subject, I think.
That's pretty cool. When we then look at how do you produce content, have you found kind of a work recipe that works for you? Do you do it alone? Do you have people that helps you out? Do you have a script? How does that work for you?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, I'm not sure it has evolved that much over time, but a little bit. So yes, I do, and this is different from people, but I do a very detailed script. And this is if you look at hours, that's where I spend the most time. That's also because I don't do my editing myself, but I spend most of my time on the script. Then I do recording. I do that myself. The script I do myself. I have a little bit of help here and there now to structure things and so on, but mostly I just do that myself. And then I record it, which I also do myself. And that's something you learn over time. It's very often a pain in the butt, honestly, because it's just difficult. You always mess something up. There are 18 factors, and you never hit all 18 of them. So there's always something. I've gotten better at it for sure. And then I have an editor that helps me, and has helped me for many years. He's remote. And we worked together for a long time. We use a tool also called Frame. I don't know if you heard about it.
Frame, yeah.
Frame works incredibly well. So he knows exactly what I want, puts it on there, and then I comment on it in detail. Right?
We actually use that for video feedback as well. It's super helpful that you can just pause, start typing what you want to change. That's really good.
Yeah.
What other?
So I'm a little bit concerned about my power here. It's plugged in here, but it's still losing power. So if there's a 5-minute break, I'm gonna have to go on my phone or something to get us back live. So there might come a break coming.
Let's see.
We'll see.
Do you use any? What tool do you? If we just go deep into the technical details, what tool do you use to record yourself as you record?
Yeah. really, those things are really not very complicated, because I've just bought a decent camera, not something fancy. It's like a Sony, I can't remember, but some a camera that's built for this kind of stuff. Again, not expensive, maybe like $800,000, something like that. So nothing crazy there. And then I just record that. But I think the hard part can be light and stuff. And I mean, I'm just not an expert in that. I've just tried to listen to little people there, got some light here. I've tried to pick them slowly. I think that was also really difficult for me to figure that out.
The best light for me is there's a window right out here, and then
that helps too.
daylight is coming, and that really helps.
Makes it hard to do at night though, but apart from that, it's great. And then I have a good mic now. Right now I use a Shure, actually the one you have there too, but like the USB version. Really simple to use, really easy to use. So that's also good. And then I just ship it all up to a server, and the editor gets going.
Super nice. I guess that's also maybe a good learning here for getting off the ground, is also, if you don't know how to edit, use Upwork or something else nowadays to help you get the first videos out there.
Yeah, but I will say though, the tools are getting better, like aggressively better, and I would maybe get my hands dirty if I was starting, just to try it out, and then realizing maybe, you know what, it's fine, but it's more efficient to have somebody else. But trying it for a few hours, I might recommend that actually. But the tools are incredibly good now.
What makes me a little bit giving up is the kind of the very modern kind of graphic editing. Oh, there goes Heini. Let's see if he comes back. So he did warn us about the power going off on his laptop. So let's see if we get him back. Thank you, Jeremy. Great chat so far. I'll be patient with Heini, as he's in Kiev today, and the electricity might not be completely on point. Yeah, Sean, this is definitely alive. Fingers crossed that he's able to get electricity up and running again. I'll give him a few more minutes.
Let's see if we got the sound right.
Welcome back, Heini.
Yeah, that went well, right?
People were saying great chat so far. This is alive for sure.
Too bad it was this short.
We're all good. We're all good.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, so I was just about to complain about how all these young people are so great at doing graphics from their phone and making it look amazing. And
yeah,
I'm just old and tired and don't know how to do all these moving graphics and so forth. Do you have to do that to be successful with YouTube nowadays?
I'm not sure you need specifically graphics that are really important. I think you need a production level. Some people work really well without too many of those things, but it has to look professional. It has to be okay. You know, the thing about, I've heard someone say this when they write a book, is that make an effort so the effort isn't on the reader. And I like that mindset, that when you make a YouTube video, make an effort so it's not on the viewer, right? So like, yeah, I saw that. That was easy. That was a mistake. that should not have been there, and that's annoying to people. And then you lose people. It's all about view time, right? How many minutes are people going to watch this video? If the algorithm, the audience, if they see that, hey, somebody's watching this video for a long time, it's clearly quality. The more of these small flaws you have in there, you lose one person every single time, and the algorithm sees that, yeah, you're out.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it is brutal in that sense.
How do you think about do you have like a monetization plan or kind of a funnel for your audience? So now you've built up 100,000 people that are entrepreneur interested. You're setting up a consultancy service, or kind of where you, or why? What is kind of the outcome that you're trying to move them towards?
Yeah, absolutely not. So this is the thing. Obviously, this is what YouTube is really good at, right? You can actually build a funnel and get better and better at it. But the fact is that just was never my objective. And I have not done it in any way. But it can be done. If you have the users, yes, you can do this. But for me, it's been more about, giving back to the community, and maybe also, trying to say what I consider the right things, which isn't always the case. I'm sorry, but there's just so much BS out there.
Yeah.
There's so many like fake gurus that have never done anything, and they give you BS advice, but they're really good at social media. So I just want to, compete a little bit with those guys and get them out of here.
Yeah. Do you actually? I can't remember that you're not pushing too much of your YouTube content on LinkedIn, are you?
Just a little bit, not too much. And this is also a two-edged sword, just so you know. So some YouTubers will say to you, do not push it on other channels. And the reason for that is that it can sort of confuse the algorithm, because now your mother is in some kind of bucket on YouTube, and the algorithm is like, okay, we should send it to people like this. So some people recommend don't share it anywhere else. Train the algorithm to find it themselves. Then the algorithm is much more narrow and hit the right people. So there are different opinions about that. I do it on LinkedIn and a couple of other places, but I don't push hard, no. And it doesn't, honestly, it does. Steffen, let's say you have a big audience on LinkedIn. I think you do. It doesn't help you much on YouTube, honestly.
No. It actually does make sense that the YouTube algorithm needs to see that it's the same kind of people that continues to consume the content, to do this kind of, did you go great Chihuahua people constantly?
Totally.
Oh, just
lots to think about, huh?
It sounds so hard to become successful with YouTube.
You know what? I'll let you all guys in a secret. There's still half an hour left here, so maybe it's too early for the secrets. But the really hard part here is to keep going.
Yeah.
That's where people fail. It's just, you got to keep going. You got to keep going, and then there's a really, really good chance you succeed, because, like I said, you have to be the best one in there. And if the other guys are not competing anymore, then you're winning.
Yeah.
So it is a lot about keep going. I mean, the mistake I see, and look, we have marketeers on here and so on, right? And this is a classic thing that happens every single time. Oh, we'll have a marketing budget or whatever. We'll do 5 videos and see how it goes. And it's just BS. And then after 5 videos, you see fuck all. And then they say, hey, we spent $200,000 or $100,000 on this, and they got nothing. Because that's not how YouTube works. You're just doing it totally wrong. It's about getting one video out there, and even the one small mistake that people do here. Oh, let's get 3-4 videos ready right away. You can do that, but that means you didn't learn anything from the first video. You need to get one video out there, learn from it, then do number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So we do all these things that we think are good, but they're not.
What about what role does the comments on the YouTube videos play?
Yeah, I mean, this is also like an optimization
I'm treating
thing.
you as like the oracle of all YouTube videos, Heini, so it's okay if you don't know all these details.
Yeah, no. So let me. I want to do a little bit of shout out too, by the way. So there's an SEO guy called Brian Dean. I don't know if you know him or not.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why I did become successful on YouTube was also because at some point I reached out to him, and somehow he saw that I was doing a shitty job but trying, and he said, "Look, I'll help you out a little bit here," and we've become friends since then.
Sweet.
And he really did help me out, and I mean, that a part of that was also just a list of of things you need to do. And one of them, like when in the beginning, every single comment that goes on there, reply to it, every single one. The algorithm cares about that, and this is optimization again, right? So I don't do that as much. It's really hard to do now, but I do it on like new videos and so on. I can't do it on every single one. But yeah, it matters. Everything matters.
Maybe that's
everything and nothing matters.
Maybe that's a YouTube video you need to do, how to become successful on YouTube.
Actually, this is quite interesting, right? So I actually have a script ready for that.
Oh,
it's a full 5-page script, and I'm not going to post it. And the reason is because I wanted to do it, because I want to tell people about it.
Yeah.
But it's not for my audience. I've done some podcasting and did a video about it, and it totally failed. So making these mistakes, I mean, many years in, I still make those mistakes.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, yeah, that's great, but it's not for my audience. That's not what they came for.
If you think, I know Jeremy, our content guy, is thinking about this as well. If you're a business and you have many different types of content going out on your YouTube, should you consider splitting it into multiple channels, or should you?
100%.
Fuck! I was hoping you were not going to say that.
Like no doubt about it. It's so extreme, right? Because I've about a year ago, I wanted to do podcasting, and let's see if I do that in the future. But I did like a full year at like 40 something episodes.
Yeah.
And YouTube keeps saying, "Hey, put your podcast on here," and so on.
Yeah.
And it just isn't true. I mean, they keep saying that, and it's total BS. And the reason is that, sure, your audience came for a specific theme, which is what I talk about. It's a similar theme, but they also came for a format. And the problem is those are two different formats, so you had to split them up. So I've taken them off the YouTube channel again now because they actually hurt my channel.
Interesting. It's because we have product launch videos, we have interviews like this, we have fun stuff. But it's like I'll call it now. It's called the Great Chihuahua theory now.
Yes. Yeah.
It needs to be super narrow, whatever you
100%.
put out. Interesting.
So that means another YouTube channel for you to maintain, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to avoid as a business here, not having to maintain multiple YouTube channels.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I think honestly, this is something YouTube should fix. And
maybe have like a parent-child kind of
something like that. So the groups can be more separated, and it does piss me off a little bit that they keep saying, "Hey, you should go on, you should put your podcast here," and just it isn't true. It hurts your channel if you have a traditional YouTube.
Yeah, it completely makes sense why that won't work. So you won't put out the video of how to be successful, but can we do the opposite then, Heini? Let's try to can you make a list of stuff you don't want to do if you want to be successful with your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much mentioned the recipe there. That was one thing, meaning it's not a video dumpster. I mean, it's not where you just upload things for fun. You need to, I mean, it's really hard to say about what you shouldn't do, but it's easier to go the other way around. But it is all about like find an audience and keep making for that audience, stay loyal to that audience. We can talk about frequency too. I mean, one thing on frequency I could talk about right away. This stop and go, I mean, it's also true with startups. Stop and go does not work. You got to keep going. And then start a video. Oh, it's been 2 years since my last video. Yeah, already there. I'm going to say no, thank you. So whatever your frequency is, and honestly, I've sort of found out that like once a week is great, but I don't think there's a difference between once a week or twice a week. It is about making quality videos. There's no compromise on that. And someone like everyone talks about Mr. Beast and how big he is and so on, but someone like Mark Rober, who a lot of people do, he did the the squirrel videos, these funny videos, engineering and so on. Amazing YouTuber. I think he's top 5 in the world. I think he's actually is one of those that has the most views per video. He was at least at one point. I think Mr. Beast might have beaten him. But anyway, the point being that he does very, very few videos. So Mark Rober, I think on average, probably only does a video a month. And he can do that because it's very high quality. And once he puts them out there, it's literally millions and millions of views, right? So whatever your frequency is, stick with it and don't try and force it. If you don't have a video this week, if you do weekly, you should not release that video.
Do you think
I know what I'm talking about here.
Do you think it's like
Because I've done it a lot.
the algorithm monitors you for like a pulse or something like that? That if you then break that kind of pulse, then it deems you kind of okay, now that person is out of the loop.
I don't think that is the case, but it's maybe more about human habits that they're used to getting them once in a while.
Yeah.
And again, like once a week is incredibly ambitious, and most people should not do that. Every 2 weeks is also quite ambitious if it's like a really produced video.
Yeah.
So again, once a month is also fine, but the bar is high. You got to win that space, whatever that is.
Yeah. At Vivino, did you ever do YouTube heavily there?
No, we never did it. I sort of, you say, I sort of fell in love with YouTube later.
Yeah.
So not really, no. But
It
it's the
should be
reason why I
like
understand
like
about
as you
it.
say, like great chihuahua. Then there's a lot of great chihuahuas in wine as well. If you
For
wanted
sure.
to take that route.
Yeah, and there is honestly the thing about wine, which I'm not sure. The thing about wine as a product is that the cool thing about wine is actually drinking it.
Yeah.
And you just can't do that on YouTube or Instagram, right? So the difference between like fashion and wine is that you look at fashion, you look at people, that's experiencing it. But that's not the case with wine. You experience wine by drinking it.
Yeah.
And that's tricky to do. Look at all drinking, it's just not the same.
That's funny. Yeah, though there's still kind of a famous Gary Vaynerchuk. I think he
Yeah,
started out doing like wine tastings on
true.
YouTube.
Before YouTube, even. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
What's next for the Raw Startup Show then?
Yeah, it's a good question. Honestly, I think my objective really is, definitely keep going and find something that matches my my lifestyle. Meaning, how busy are you right now?
Yeah.
And I've actually experimented with trying to do a video every week recently, and like, nah, this is the first time I do that, and I don't think it gave a true uplift. So I'm gonna go back to every 2 weeks, and if I really get extremely busy, I'm okay with going every month and just releasing sort of bigger videos once a month, because it's so YouTube is, and we haven't even talked about this, but it's very different than Instagram and a lot of other platforms. YouTube is long. The videos live so long, especially if you do content like that. So my videos live for years, like literally for years. And if you do on Instagram and so on, yeah, 48 hours and it's dead. That means you're on the treadmill all the time. And that is not the case with you. You build something great, it lasts literally for years.
That's
Which
really
is how I like to work. I like to
thought about
build
that.
things for long term. Yeah.
Because I think I probably think about YouTube as the likes of Instagram or TikTok, that
Very different.
needs to be very fast moving and quickly consumed. But then, yeah, you probably like YouTube holes that I fall into is typically the city I travel with into, like, and then the architect. Why does this city look like it does? And
That video's been around for 10 years, probably, right?
yeah, and the content is still absolutely great.
Yeah.
Like I was in New York thinking about these, like the narrow skyscrapers that they do, and
Yeah.
then that hole is very big on YouTube as well, and these videos have millions of views.
Exactly.
So is there something about trying to keep the content not kind of dependent on time or someone?
I like to do that. I don't think you should expect them to live 5 years. If you do old buildings, sure, you
I mean,
can.
like how to build an app obviously is a little bit exposed because it's
Yeah, exactly. But still, my video is like 3 years old now. It's still going. But it's also time, right? So much has happened there. But I like to build, I call it evergreen content, but it's obviously not real evergreen, but it's got to last for some time. If you're in the news space or something like that, it's just a different. Then you have to release all the time, and you have to expect, if I don't get traction right away, then that's not going to fly. My videos are very different. They get a little bump, and the good ones then start growing weeks into it. They grow after, because they build minutes and so on. So it's really quite different. That's where YouTube is totally different.
Yeah, can we zoom in a little bit on that, Heini? So you shouldn't maybe get too disappointed if you don't see like a viral explosion immediately.
100%, especially if you're small. So what really matters is the minutes that people watch a video, right? And there's also total minutes on the video. And I found that the total minutes are really, really important. I'm not sure where the thresholds are, but there's some thresholds that when it has this many minutes, algorithms start taking it more serious just by total. And then if that comes early enough, then it just starts growing. So I don't do anything for virality. And people look at my videos and say, it doesn't look like it's very successful because it only has 2,000-3,000 views like a few weeks in. That's true. But look at the older videos like 1.5 million and 500,000 and so on. It just takes a while to build them.
But it makes sense with that notion you mentioned earlier about thinking about it as an audience. If an audience has a good completion rate from like at 100% plus they're consuming a lot of minutes, that must mean that the content is highly relevant
for that group.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Where do you go for YouTube inspiration, Heini? Are there any people you want to give a small shout out to?
Yeah, honestly, I as soon as you start doing this, you obviously get exposed to a lot of people on YouTube that know what they're doing. Honestly, I don't remember that many names I would recommend, but start looking and maybe we should share some links after because I have a couple that I really do like. And just be careful. There's just so many people that don't know what they're talking about out there, right? And then just try to get you to a course. And getting to a course or something is also fine if it's like serious people. I have no problem with people building YouTube videos and then building a course and making money off that. But there's just these weird gurus talk about mindset and stuff. It's just like, this is just bullshit. They're just pumping you for money.
Yeah. Okay. One or two more questions, then I'll let you head out into Kiev. How much work do you put into the optimizing for the first 1 second or 5 seconds to kind of get people off the ground on your videos?
Yeah, no, this is very, very important. Again, it's still more important for you to start than optimizing that in the beginning.
Yeah.
But the thumbnail leading into the first 5 seconds and leading into the first 30 seconds, incredibly important. So you will lose, you probably lose 30-40% in the first 30-40 seconds. And those numbers, they matter a lot. And you think you lose a lot there. Yeah, it's because people get recommended. Maybe there's an auto start, or maybe someone clicks on not on purpose and so on. So it's okay to lose people there, but the less you lose, the better. So optimizing for that, I think again, Mr. Beast obviously is the master of this. It's not that I enjoy his videos that much, but his knowledge about YouTube is like out of this world.
Yeah.
And his philosophy is one of the things is that once people click on the thumbnail, a few seconds in, you want to have overpromised on the thumbnail, right? So if he says something crazy on the thumbnail, a few seconds in, it's like, holy shit, this is even better than the thumbnail. That's sort of his philosophy, if that's true or not. But there's a point to that if you can get people to click on the thumbnail and then overpromise, then it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so hoping it's the opposite of what you should be doing in real life. But on YouTube, I see that it works, that it like a big promise, and then people stick until the end without actually knowing whether they actually got really that overpromise.
Yeah, it's a little bit different here.
Yeah, that's funny. Cool. Heini, if you were to summarize your learnings with building a YouTube channel for the people listening, what's the kind of 1, 2, 3 things that you want to leave people with?
Yeah, you didn't tell me you were going to ask this question, but I'm still going to improvise it. So look, build the best video for a very, very narrow audience. Yeah. And we talked about the Chihuahua. That is key. And then stay loyal to that audience. And then finally, and this might be the hardest part, keep going. Yeah. Keep going. That's how you win, because the other guys are not on the field anymore. So now you're alone, and by then you won.
Fantastic. Heini, if people want to continue following along your YouTube journey and your work life in general, where should they head?
Yeah, obviously Raw Startup on YouTube. I talk about startups. I talk about building apps, building funding, all those things. So you should definitely subscribe on Raw Startup on YouTube. That is my primary thing. Obviously, they can find me on LinkedIn or wherever too.
Yeah, and if you're drinking wine, go download the Vivino. I've been using it for 15 years almost now, and it's great. 15
Good.
years. Did I exaggerate that, Heini?
Wow.
10
No,
years.
no, that's fine. If you're early, that's about right. That's about right.
If I was
Very early.
well, fuck, I was actually that early.
Yeah,
Time
we
flies.
say to people, use Vivino, but don't use it too much.
Yeah. That's great. Cool, Heini. I'll let you go now. Thank you so much for taking the time and teaching me about how to grow a YouTube channel. And thank you so much to everybody who's listening. We really appreciate you taking the time. And if you do like what you're listening to here, go search for Attributed where you listen to podcasts, and you'll find our show with more than 100 other interviews like this. So thank you so much.